We grew up during a different time. We were kind of left to our own devices.
I didn't have a male role model. Male role models in my life were my dad, who left, right? Didn't pay child support, didn't own up to his responsibilities.
I used to have to salute him. Jack Grisham reporting for inspection, sir, when he got home.
My dad once told me if I ever get my ears pierced, he'd yank them out.
My dad hated me. He hated me.
I don't know what it is, but your thinking changes. You're that guy, a tie just grew out of your neck, and you become Ward Cleaver, and Ward Cleaver's a prick.
You march right back upstairs, young man, and put on a clean shirt.
All right, homie, I think we're gonna get ready and go to dinner. You got your stuff? I was doing my chores, and I was washing my dad's truck, and I was listening to a Descendants song, and he walked out. It was a song called Parents, and the hook of the song is parents, why won't they shut up? Parents, they're so effed up. And he walked out right when that was playing. Didn't like that song, and I remember he ejected the cassette and took it and threw it in the bucket of water that I was washing his car with.
Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat.
I mean, punk rock in general is really nihilistic. It was just about doing whatever you want, and usually whatever you want meant causing a lot of trouble and doing everything that your parents didn't want you to do.
Fart, turd, and twat. I fucked your mom.
Thank you. Thank you so very, very much.
How did we go from rebelling against our own parents to become parents ourselves? I just remember going out on the blacktop in kindergarten the first time and just having all those kids look at me like, there's something wrong with you, and like looking at me strange. And this one guy looked at me and said, oh yeah, you do that. You make that funny face and we'll go scare the girls. I was born totally cross-eyed. So to be like someone who's like, with your regular face is scaring kids, it had a weird effect on me. From an early age, I started acting out and acting like a total freak just to have people look past my eye condition. And so right when I entered junior high and I was getting in trouble all the time, it was right then when this big musical bomb dropped on the cultural landscape and altered music forever. I was 12 years old in 1977. It was a really important time for me musically because that's really when music becomes a huge part of your life.
I started playing with Fear, I guess, in 1980 or 1981. Punk rock had already been going for like 3 or 4 years or something.
You have to be the perfect stereotypical California teenager, and if that's not you, you better stand out in somewhere, else you're a loser. So like for me, it was like, well, I better find something. Thank God I got the guitar and started playing it.
I think the LA scene, it was less about fashion than New York or London. LA's a funny city, you know? It's just a big, sprawling thing, and people get really lonely here. LA was more like these kind of like desolate people, kind of desperate people, all kind of coming together. It was a real feeling of bonding and a real feeling of community and a real feeling of belonging.
I love living in the city. I love living in the city. My house smells just like the zoo. It's chock full of shit and puke.
Punk rock, when it started, there weren't so many of us. So when you were driving down the street, if you saw somebody with purple hair, you'd pull over and go, hey, what are you into, man? And it was that instant kinship, which was really cool.
It wasn't cool to be a punk rocker. Like, you walked down the street, people yelled at you, they made fun of you, they beat you up, they threw shit at you.
You can't look like you're fitting in to society if you don't want to fit in society.
I used to get beat up every day for having green hair.
And it was a bunch of misfits who all came from the same kind of background, and you felt like you fit in finally. You were like, whoa, where the fuck did this come from? Why didn't I find this last year?
here's this group of people that will definitely accept me no matter how screwed up I am. And, you know, that was a feeling they couldn't get at home, they couldn't get anywhere else, and it was important to find that in life, or else you just feel cast out. I think in Hermosa Beach back then, it was a very strange place to grow up. Even though we're at the beach and everything's nice and it's clean and with everything we possibly want, the underbelly of it all is rotting. You had this huge military defense complex surrounding you. You know, you realize that your mom worked for Air Research and your dad worked for TRW, working on satellites. All these things you read about in the paper are being built, you know, 2 blocks from your house.
The attacks slashed at North Vietnam with renewed fury.
In our generation, our first images of politicians was President Nixon resigning.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
You had this spiraling divorce rate in the 70s, so a lot of broken homes, a lot of anger that couldn't be expressed anywhere else. It was supposed to be Ozzie and Harriet and the Nelson family and the perfect little family, but Vietnam and Nixon and all that came along and ruined it. It's almost like you're promised the American dream and you got the nightmare. But in reality, what can people do? You go throw rocks at windows, or do you? A lot of people decide to play music that sounded like a rock going through a window. It was like a powder keg ready to explode, and it did. In all of LA, a lot of really influential bands came from this area, but 3 of the biggest, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, and Descendants, came from one tiny town. And you'd see these guys walking around, but you'd also see their flyers, and they had these really, really aggressive, really dark flyers from Raymond Pettibone that were really subversive. A lot of them had pretty hardcore images on them that were against everything in society that we supposedly hold dear: religion, politics. I was part of the Black Flag fan club, and I remember bringing home Jealous Again, the Yellow album. That was the best music I'd ever heard in my life, but especially the voice. Ron had a very expressive voice. For me, even to this day, it's the most explosive, genuine, raw album. It was, I don't care what you think.
I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say.
That was exactly it. I don't care what you think. And I felt that way so deeply. Like, I don't care what you think. And to hear that just come right out of those speakers, it was just like, yeah.
No, 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 no values. No, 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 no values.
I rented a place in this place called The Church, and it became kind of the mecca for the South Bay punk rock scene that emerged in my living room.
When I was about 15-year-old, this guy hired me and my friend to work here. And it was across the street from the church. In fact, that's why I took the job. I really didn't want to work at all. It was huge for me. It was for like a little kid having Led Zeppelin living across the street.
So we kind of created this scene out of our like rehearsal space. Everybody was doing everything that you can imagine.
That's the one difference from the New York scene and the London scene that I saw a lot. I mean, yeah, they were violent there, but in California, it was super violent.
Black Flag always made me want to go out and drink beer and smash stuff up.
Like, it scared me, but it also gave me like a boner at the same time, you know what I mean?
Just the troublemaking is what attracted me.
Wasted. And I went to go see like Black Flag, and it was really violent, and people were getting beat up for having the wrong hair. And I mean beat up, not just like punched, I mean like hospitalized, and like constant. It was like ambulances just taking people away from shows all the time.
We had a lot of friends die along the way. Someone died of overdose, a lot of psychological problems, so, you know, and Obviously, the bass player for our band died later on, and you know, you saw that happening all the time. So it was like, we knew the dangers were there. And that's what a lot of our songs became about, you know, is, you know, living every day like it's your last, because it could be.
It was angry, the lyrics spoke to me, the music was loud and abrasive and fast. The people that I went to school with hated it, they hated me, I hated them, it was perfect. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, it was everything I needed.
I thought we were going to change the world.
The whole thing boggles the mind. It's like, I don't know. You might say, hey, maybe punk rock was never meant to grow up, but it did. So too bad. You know, it's like, you know, we're in uncharted territory, you know.